So far, we've had close calls, terrible calls, questionable throws, maybe the greatest catch of all time, as well as the greatest throw of all time, a game at a NASCAR track which was a disaster, a mask-off fell off a stage at a Lumineers concert, there was a home run derby in the middle of a game, but the MLB season is about to get even crazier. We're about to find out if this actually is the worst team of all time. One New York team is falling apart. The entire franchise wants people fired, and it might actually happen this time. The other New York team might be playing even worse, and they're even madder. The worst trade ever actually turned out to be genius. These teams might have hit rock bottom, while somehow this became the best team in baseball.
Actually, I got a little pocket pancake right here that I munch on. Oh, you want some?
Oh, those are delicious.
All while the most expensive, most stacked team in the league by far is struggling, has fallen behind their rivals, while their greatest star is caught up in a fraud accusation that has people wondering, is Shohei Otani a criminal? The Dodgers enter the season with the highest payroll of all time, a 97% chance to make the playoffs before they played a single game, and a 23% chance to win the World Series. Then they went on to win their first 8 games. They looked unbeatable, but by May, what on paper looked like the most unstoppable rotation we've ever seen was decimated. 6 of their 9 starters were injured, and going into a series against their division rival, the Padres, they only had a 1-game lead. These two teams had been fighting for years, and going into this series, nothing had changed. On June 16th, Andy Pages got nailed by a pitch and didn't like it. He starts yelling at Cease, and the two teams start yelling at each other. Mike Schilt thought this was an overreaction and responded by telling Pages, quote, "Who the fuck are you?" The Dodgers would almost immediately blow the game open, scoring 5 times this inning. Then afterwards speculated that the Padres hit Pages on purpose because he was picking up their signs earlier in the game. Manny Machado responded immediately, saying that the Dodgers got some big dogs we could hit over there, inferring that if they wanted to hit someone on the Dodgers, they'd hit a star and not an irrelevant outfielder like Andy Pages. And the very next game, that's what happened. In the 3rd inning, the Dodgers hit Fernando Tatis Jr. in the back with a fastball. It's not clear whether it was intentional or not, but when Shohei Otani comes up the next inning, the Padres nail him with a fastball. Both benches are worn, but no one is ejected, and Dave Roberts is irate at what looked to be obviously an intentional hit by pitch. He gets ejected for arguing the warning that was given by umpires, but despite this warning, just 4 innings later when Jose Iglesias is hit by a pitch, Dodgers pitcher Matt Sauer is not ejected. This angered Manny Machado, who got out of the dugout to scream at the umpire and the Dodgers bench. Then 2 nights later, things hit a boiling point. In the 9th, a high fastball comes in and nails Tatis Jr. in the hand. This is the 3rd time the Dodgers had hit Tatis in just 10 days. The Padres are furious. The bench is clear. There is pushing between the managers and coaches. Everybody meets in the middle to hash it out and scream at each other for several minutes. And then later that inning, Shohei Otani gets nailed again. A 100-mile-per-hour fastball thrown by Robert Suarez. The benches were about to clear again, but Otani signaled his team to calm down and stay in the dugout. After the game, Manny Machado told the media, quote, "The Padres better pray the scans on Tatis's hand come back negative." And they did. Tatis was not significantly injured, but the damage had been done. The Dodgers schooled the Padres, beating them 5 times in 7 games. At this point, the Giants had become the Dodgers' biggest threat, which shocked everyone. They were picked to finish 4th in the division and ended up being in 1st by the end of April, tied with the most wins in baseball, and by June had tied the Dodgers for 1st. Days after that, they made the most shocking trade in recent memory. Since 2021, Rafael Devers is 7th in MLB in RBI, 8th in slugging, has the 10th most home runs, and has been by far the Red Sox best player. The Red Sox were hot. They had just won 5 in a row, swept the Yankees, and were just a half game out of a playoff spot when they decided they were going to trade their best player. As we covered on our second channel, while people like Jonathan Papelbon and David Ortiz supported the trade, casting Devers as somewhat of a clubhouse cancer who played for, quote, himself and himself only, everybody else saw this as the dumbest trade of all time. In exchange for one of the best hitters in the league, they got an injured pitcher with an ERA over 6, another pitcher who was in the minors after having an ERA over 4, another prospect we couldn't even find a picture of, and a former first-round draft pick in single A. One MLB exec, when hearing about this trade, said, quote, holy fuck. One agent said, quote, that's all they got, and Boston.com called it, quote, an organizational failure that trumps them all. The organization had soured on Devers after he was upset the team moved him from third base to DH to make room for Alex Bregman. Then later in the year, when the Red Sox first baseman suffered a season-ending injury, Devers told them he was not willing to learn first base. But the day he arrived in San Francisco, Devers said, quote, I'm here to play whatever position they need me to play. He was seen taking ground balls at first base his first day, got a massive introduction, and hit an RBI double in his very first game. A team that was 10 games over 500, 2 games behind the Dodgers, and comfortably in a playoff spot, just added one of the best hitters in the league, and the Giants look legit, while the Red Sox, on the other hand, were in damage control. The GM speculated that the Red Sox might actually end up winning more games without Devers than they would if they had Devers, which confused and pissed off Red Sox fans everywhere. They found themselves in 4th place behind the Rays, who don't even have their own stadium. Their stadium was destroyed in a hurricane, so they've been playing in the Yankees' spring training facility. Yeah, when the Yankees go on the road to play the Rays, they play in their own spring training facility. In 2021, the Blue Jays had to do that due to COVID restrictions. Now they're back home in Canada, and in July, they got hot, won 10 in a row, then 19 out of 23 games. Since then, they have the best offense in baseball. George Springer's unstoppable. Vladdy Jr.'s been proving he's worth the $500 million they just paid him. And Dalton Varsho, making one of the most ridiculous catches you'll ever see in your life, helped the Blue Jays take their playoff odds from 26% to 87% in 40 days. They swept the Yankees 4 games in a row, scoring 36 runs, and ever since, the Yankees have been lost. Last year in the World Series, they fell apart, making 3 errors in 1 inning to get eliminated. Their defense might have gotten worse.
What is happening? We gave this fucking team 6 fucking outs!
Anthony Volpe, who won a Gold Glove 2 seasons ago, has the 2nd most errors in baseball. His fielding slump resulted in 5 errors in 9 games. Yankees fans haven't been taking it well.
Play in baseball! You overpaid, soft-bellied, spoiled fucking baby!
For over 100 years, the Yankees famously banned their players from having facial hair. Then they signed Devin Williams. He raised concerns over the policy, and for the first time ever, Devin Williams and other Yankees players are rocking beards in games. But now some Yankees fans want the beards gone again. Devin Williams, who was one of the best relievers in baseball, has been terrible with the Yankees. He has an ERA over 5, worse than any other closer in baseball. Gave up at least 1 run in 5 straight appearances, and Yankees fans did not take this well.
It's over! This year is done!
However, the Yankees responded and had a massive deadline for their bullpen. They added David Bednar, Camilo Doval, and Jake Bird, 2 all-star closers and a pitcher who at one point had an ERA under 3 in Colorado.
Doval from the Giants? The Yankees got Camilo Doval!
Then in the very first game they played, Jake Bird gave up 4 runs. David Bednar gave up 2 runs, and Camilo Doval blew the save. All 3 trade pieces gave up at least 1 run. Another trade piece made an error that lost them the lead, and they blew a 6-run lead, then a 5-run lead, then a 2-run lead to lose a game to the Marlins. The Marlins set an attendance record, 3 straight sellouts, over 100,000 fans in 1 weekend, and swept the Yankees to get to 500. Yankees fans did not take this well.
This team is so
To make matters worse, Aaron Judge got injured in the middle of another historic season. Yankees fans did not take that well.
loses,
And
you fuck.
Although he has since returned, they find themselves barely in a wild card spot and in 3rd place behind the Red Sox. Yes, because even though everyone, including us on our second channel, thought this trade was terrible, the Red Sox got better without Devers. Since this trade, they have the third best record in baseball. They've surpassed the Yankees, now are second in the division and also in a playoff spot, while the team they traded Devers to has done the opposite. It didn't take long for drama to arise in San Francisco. A story came out in Boston that Devers was supposed to get a one-on-one instruction how to play first base from Giants legend Will Clark. According to WEEI in Boston, Devers did not show up for this instruction 3 times in a row.
So that's the person that these guys have been dealing with.
Will Clark, who was there to instruct Devers, stuck up for him, said Devers was dealing with an injury, understandably didn't want to be working at first base in front of Boston media, which would cause a circus, and that the reporter in Boston blew it out of proportion.
Will Fleming, you can go f*** off, motherfucker. You're a East Coast piece of shit reporter.
However, Will Clark also added,
Rafael Devers, next time I'm in San Francisco, your ass will be on the field at first base. Even if I gotta go grab you by the fucking back of the neck and drag your ass out there, you will be at first base.
We don't know if they ever did a lesson, but Devers did end up playing first base for the Giants, which almost immediately looked shaky. In his second game, he was caught in between on this ball, allowing a runner to be safe. Then he stepped with his wrong foot on this play, even though he made a pretty nice play. Made a nice play, then fumbled it a bit, making it look sloppy, but still a nice play. Later in the game, he made an error on this play, but this one was the most consequential. He was attempting to make a double play, bobbled the ball, perhaps costing the Giants an out, and maybe the game. 2 runs scored on a double the very next play, and the Giants ended up losing this game, as well as 15 of their next 21. Since trading for Devers, they have the worst record in baseball. They went from being 2 games behind the Dodgers with a 65% chance to make the playoffs to now having a 1.6% chance to make the playoffs and are 11 games back of the Dodgers. But the Dodgers have also disappointed. After dealing with a plethora of pitching injuries, Freddie Freeman struggled for over a month. Mookie Betts is uncharacteristically having the worst season of his career. Teoscar Hernandez and Tommy Edman have regressed since their impressive debuts for the Dodgers last season, leaving Will Smith and Shohei Otani to carry the load, which still looked like it would be enough. Otani is likely on his way to his 4th MVP, which would make him the 2nd player in history to do so. He returned to the mound after over a year of rehab and now somehow is throwing harder, striking out over 12 per 9 innings in limited time, which would lead the league as a starter. Getting Otani back on the mound, as well as Blake Snell, Glasnow, and Kershaw off the IL, not to mention Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's been healthy all year, it looked like they were poised to run away with the division for the 13th time in 14 years. Then, a terrible stretch and a lawsuit that has Shohei Otani in hot water again changed all of that. But before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor. If you haven't heard of Moomoo, you soon will. This is the brokerage firm that's transforming the financial world. Everyone's talking about Moomoo. I'm not a finance guy, but all the other finance people are. If you haven't heard of them yet, you soon 26 million users across the world. You can trade stocks, ETFs, and options, and trying it now can get you free stocks. This is why everyone's talking about it. You deposit $100, they're giving you $20 in free stock. You deposit more than that, they're giving you even more free stock, up to $1,000 in free stock. They're also offering 8.1% APY on uninvested cash for 3 months for new users. That's almost unheard of. Just put money in your account and you don't even have to do anything with it right away, and you will earn even more money on it. Yes, 8.1% you will make on the money you have in your account while you decide what to trade on. They also have an insights tab where you can track Nancy Pelosi's holdings plus other notable investors, and it comes with free premium research, meaning free premium news for free, including Wall Street Journal, Barron's, Bloomberg, Reuters, even free Morning Star reports. All these subscriptions combined would cost hundreds. On Moomoo, they're free. So join the 26 million users already on Moomoo and click the link in the description to jumpstart your investing journey today and get up to $1,000 in NVDA stock. Moomoo is also giving new users 8.1% APY interest on your uninvested cash for a limited time while you plan your first trade. So go to startmoomoo.com/BDE or click the link in the description to take advantage of these awesome promos and experience the power of Moomoo. Do it right now. On August 13th, two people alleged that Shohei Otani and his agent were responsible for kicking them off a real estate deal worth over $240 million to make more money for themselves. Speculation points to Otani and his team being annoyed at the promotional videos that made Otani the face of the project for publicity as the reason for the firing. They maintain these two were kicked off the project for valid reasons. This is a civil case. Otani is not in trouble with law enforcement. It's not even clear on how involved he was with the firings at all, but this, along with his interpreter's gambling conviction, has caused a narrative that MLB's poster child is actually somehow a secret criminal. This could cost Otani a ton of money and serve as a distraction at a terrible time for the Dodgers. Starting on July 4th, they went 12-21. That was the fourth worst record in baseball, the same record as the Rockies, while their division rivals, the Padres, added big at the deadline. A DH and Ryan O'Hearn, who crushed in Baltimore all year, Ramon Laureano, who continues to go off in San Diego, and a blockbuster trade that sent closer Mason Miller to San Diego, adding even more to what was already the top bullpen in the league, while the Dodgers did almost nothing to help their struggling bullpen. The Padres then went on a 14-3 run, came out of nowhere, and took the divisional lead after the Dodgers had led it for 103 days, right before they went into a 3-game series that could serve as a decisive blow to the Dodgers' divisional hopes. And Kershaw threw a gem in Game 1. The Dodgers' offense exploded on Dylan Cease in Game 2, and Mookie Betts got hot, hit a go-ahead homer in the 8th, and swept the Padres. Then, just like that, the Dodgers are back in first place. But even the Dodgers, with $400+ million in payroll, can't come close to what's happening in Milwaukee right now. Despite having a payroll 3 times less than the Dodgers, the Brewers have been by far the best team in baseball. They have the most wins, the highest run differential, scored the most runs, and by ERA have the best starting staff in the league, all while having not a single position player ranked in the top 30 in WAR. With essentially no big-name superstars, this team went on a run where they went 30-5 in a span that lasted over a month, going from 4 games behind the Cubs to 9 games in front of the Cubs in just 6 weeks. And despite this insane run, this one rookie pitcher has taken all the shine. Jacob Misiorowski is 6'7" and throws 96-mile-per-hour sliders. His fastball is 102. Even his changeup is 94 miles per hour. In his first game, he threw 5 no-hit innings before coming out after getting hit by a comebacker. Came back 5 days later, threw 6 more no-hit innings. Then, in his third game, faced Paul Skeens in front of a sold-out crowd and dominated. Gave up just 2 hits and 0 runs, out-dueling Paul Skeens for a win. In his first 3 starts, he had more wins than hits allowed, instantly turning him into a star. So naturally, MLB made him an all-star, and people lost their shit. Paul Skeens broke an MLB record last year for being selected as an all-star after only 11 starts in MLB. Now, Misiorowski was an all-star after only 5 MLB appearances. Trey Turner came out saying, quote, "What a joke, that's terrible." Nick Cassiano said it was turning into the Savannah Bananas. JT Realmuto said nothing against Misiorowski, but those two are more deserving, in reference to their 2 teammates, Ranger Suarez and Christopher Sanchez. Suarez had an ERA lower and had pitched nearly 60 innings more. In fact, there were 69 starters more valuable according to WAR than Misiorowski, and 52 with an ERA lower than Misiorowski and more innings pitched. The most egregious case came from Christopher Sanchez, who was the 5th best pitcher in the league by WAR, had an ERA 0.4 runs lower than Misiorowski, and 99 more innings pitched, but for some reason wasn't an all-star, which caused a harsh reaction from his Philly teammates. However, according to MLB, they had offered Sanchez an all-star appearance if he agreed to lift his restrictions and agreed to be available to pitch in the game, but he declined, while his agent came out publicly saying Sanchez was available to pitch in the game. As confusing and polarizing as this situation was, MLB put Misiorowski on the team because he was the talk of the league, and that's what fans wanted. He was even put in the game to pitch and threw 9 pitches over 100 miles per hour and pitched a scoreless inning. But even this didn't come close to being the most notable thing that happened this weekend. Cal Raleigh might be having the best season of any catcher in history. They call him the big dumper because of the size of his butt. He's got big butt cut bobbleheads, doing ads for porta potty companies, and is selling toilet seats. He also broke the record for most home runs by a catcher before the All-Star break, an entire month before the All-Star break. The record was 28. By the All-Star break, he had 38. He's about to break the record for most home runs hit by any catcher in MLB history. He's on pace for 60 and is challenging the single-season AL home run record set by Aaron Judge 3 years ago. He's favored to win MVP over Aaron Judge, and just like when Aaron Judge broke onto the scene in 2017, led the league home runs and won the home run derby, Cal Raleigh is leading the league in home runs and won the home run derby himself. And in the actual game the next day, he even ripped a single, but the American League got out to a massive deficit. A 6-0 lead for the NL was cut down by a Brent Rooker homer, but still down 2 going into the 9th with lights-out closer Robert Suarez on the mound. It did look bleak for the American League. A Byron Buxton single and Bobby Witt Jr. double changed that though, and with Edwin Diaz brought into the game, the AL had a chance. A great play saves the lead for the NL, and they just need one more out to win this game. But a swinging bunt scores a run and ties the game. The NL ends the rally with a robotic umpire call allowed to be used in this one game because it was an All-Star game, then goes down 1-2-3, and the game ends tied. Typically, that would be it. But for this one single game, MLB implemented a home run derby swing off to see who would win. Each team picks 3 players. Those 3 players get 3 swings. Whichever team hits the most homers wins. Brent Rooker hits 2. Kyle Stowers hits 1. Arozarena hits 1. Then Kyle Schwarber hits 1, 2, 3 home runs with 3 swings. The National League wins the All-Star game in the first home run swing off of all time. Because that's what Kyle Schwarber does. This guy already has 43 home runs, 40 plus in 3 of his last 4 seasons. The guy got non-tendered in 2020. Now he's so wanted going into free agency that the Reds let his dad throw out the first pitch and let Schwarber, an away player, catch the first pitch, likely in hopes he'll sign with the Reds next season. But for now, he's on the Phillies, the defending NL East champs, who in June looked overmatched by the overpowering Mets. Pete Alonso was the second best hitter in the NL. Juan Soto had rebounded from the tabloids and boos from earlier in the season and was on a tear. By ERA, they had the best pitching staff in the league, and the New York Mets had the best record in baseball. They went on to lose 10 of their next 11 games.
It's over! This game has no heart!
They got swept by a struggling Braves team.
When is this team gonna win again? When?
They went on another 7-game losing streak after the All-Star break.
Losing streak is never gonna end!
Juan Soto got booed again, and since building a 5.5-game lead in June, the Mets have the 5th worst record in baseball, now giving the Phillies a 5.5-game lead over the Mets, and 16 games ahead of the Braves, who were picked to finish first and completely imploded. The highlight of their season was playing in the highest attended regular season game in MLB history. 91,000 people came to watch them at a NASCAR track. They played 1 inning. It rained. The field was soaked. They tried to play anyway. It kept raining, and 91,000 people had to stand in the stadium for hours while they ran out of food. Moved the game back the next day, where many people were not able to attend. The Braves did win and get a trophy, though. Plus, they're not as bad as the Rockies. At one point, they were on pace to be the worst team of all time, on pace to have the worst run differential of all time, the worst starting pitching ERA of all time, and the worst offense of all time. Not anymore. Still, by far the worst team in baseball. They're only on pace to lose 115 games. Speaking of losing, the Guardians lost their closer to alleged gambling, and not just any closer. This might be the best closer in baseball after his teammate Luis Ortiz was investigated for these 2 pitches. The story goes that on 2 instances there was a massive amount of money placed on the first pitch of the inning to be a ball. Both times, Luis Castillo threw 2 of the biggest balls of all time. He was placed on administrative leave while the league investigates whether he or a friend bet on these pitches to be balls, and he threw these balls on purpose to make money from it. But the big bombshell was when they later announced that Emmanuel Clase is also being investigated. There is no specific pitches cited, but these 2 are reportedly good friends, and a deeper dive found that Clase is 3 times more likely to throw a ball way outside the zone on the first pitch of an inning compared to any other pitch. Clase is a 3-time All-Star, 2-time reliever of the year, and finished 3rd in Cy Young voting last year as a reliever. But if this investigation finds him guilty, he'll likely be banned from baseball forever, as his team, the Guardians, slip 8.5 games back of the Tigers, who have dominated the Central all year, on the back of Tarek Skubal, who's likely on his way to his 2nd consecutive Cy Young. Also in the division is the Minnesota Twins, who are disappointing at a whole nother level. They traded 11 out of the 26 people on their team at the deadline. 42% of the team was traded, including Carlos Correa, who went back to Houston, where he and his old teammate Jose Altuve sit at the top of the AL West, despite at one point having 18 players on the injured list at one time, silencing their rivals, the Texas Rangers, who, after winning the World Series just 2 years ago, have an offense that out of nowhere has gone completely silent. They were favored to win the division going into the year. Now they only have an 11% chance to make the playoffs. But on the bright side, at least them and everybody else in the league can say we're not as bad as the Colorado Rockies.